Hey guys, what's up? This is MDoranD, MDoranD for CardRunners.com. This is the next segment in my live play series of me playing 4 tables of 200L on Bovada. Hope you enjoy it. Let's just get right into the action. The first hand I want to talk about is happening on table 3 with Ace-Jack offsuit. As you can see, I've just sat down. I've got like 2 hands on everybody. There's an open from the cutoff, no real read, and I call, no read at all. I mean, he's got a full stack. He's played 1 out of 4 hands, so hardly any information here. I do think this is a call. I'm not gonna 3-bet this, and I'm certainly not prepared to fold it yet. And the flop comes 8, 6, 9 with 2 diamonds. I have 2 overs. This is a close spot between floating here versus a normal c-bet. I do think there might be a little potential for raising here, and there's probably not a terrible spot for folding. Like, this is one of those spots that, depending on the situation, I could go any way here. It could be a fold, it could be a float, and it could be a raise. Just depending on, factors like what I think about my opponent, what do I think about my opponent's bet size, things like that. And in this spot particularly, my opponent ends up betting. I remember thinking at the time when I played this is that I was thinking, well, if he makes a 2/3 pot bet or smaller, I can probably raise here and have a lot of fold equity over hands that are better than mine, and potentially have some barreling cards if he does call. I think the smaller the bet he makes on a flop like this is going to tend to be indicative of his own hand strength generally. Whereas a bigger bet would make me much less likely either to float and much less likely to raise. For example, a 1-pair hand here, or a hand that's just trying to c-bet and take it down, I think is much more likely to bet half pot or a little over half pot here. In real time, my opponent actually comes out and bets pot, so that kind of changed my plans there of having any real chance of taking this away. I believe he bets $15 into this $14.25 pot. He does. So he's limiting my options there. It makes me want to be less likely to float. It makes me want to be more likely to fold. I even consider raising here, but it's his sizing that turns me away from it, and so I end up just folding and giving the pot. But this is like one of those spots, really common. But it could be a fold, it could be a float, and it could be a raise. But it boiled down to me having no read and the size of his bet, so I just give it to him. Let's go right into these 2 hands that are going on right now. On table 4, I had isolated pre against a short-stacked potential fishier player, and he had called, and now he donks into me 10, basically half pot on a 7-4 deuce board, and I just have 2 overs, ace high. With the size of his stack, and again, almost no read at all, and the size of his bet, I do decide to just fold here. I did contemplate floating again. There is potential that I have the best hand here, for sure, but we're not really deep enough for me to just be floating here without a great plan, and I don't feel like I have a great plan here. If I float here, I think most of the time, I'm probably just going to fold on the turn if I don't improve. I don't think I'm going to want to call again if he bets the turn for any real amount at all. So I do decide to just go ahead and fold here. I do think there's probably a reasonable chance he actually just has a pair, and I'm beat. And we'll also get into this ace-jack hand here. I open and get a call on the button and shoved on by a guy who's playing his first hand, and it only has a $60 stack, so I very quickly fold that hand. Alright, now we've got aces on table 2. Feel pretty confident we're going to play that one. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Alright, well, took it down.